In this video, I'm going to outline my exact thought process with regards to what I would do if I was starting out in property again from scratch in 2026. Coming at it from the perspective of a total newbie with no prior knowledge or understanding. Over the past 5 years, I've built up a portfolio of properties all the way from one-bed flats to HMOs in the UK and overseas as well, with the main goal of being able to retire early when I want and do what I want with that passive income. So how do you start? Where do you start? What do you look for? And what comes first? These are the 5 steps that I would be following if I was starting again. Number 1, develop discipline. This is easy because it can be started even without any knowledge on property whatsoever. And in my opinion, it's one of the most crucial. 2 would be to set realistic outcomes. What are you actually trying to achieve with this property? 3 would then be setting realistic timeframes, i.e. when would you like to achieve said outcomes from point 2. 4 then is to do the numbers to see if you can make that work and how you can make it work. And then number 5 is basically putting all of that together, and what you will see mapping out in front of you is basically a roadmap as to what you should buy, where you should buy, how much you should buy for in order to reach your goals. Number 1 then is to develop discipline. What do we mean by that? Jocko Willink, book's up there somewhere, once said, discipline equals freedom.
Discipline equals freedom. That's what I have been saying for a long time. It is 100% factually true.
I think what he means by that is by having discipline in the now, you are creating freedom for the future. And it's the same with property. If you create discipline in the way you save, in the way you plan, in the way you learn, then you will create that financial freedom and that income for the future. For me, I've found the most important aspect of the discipline is the cash side or the finances side, because without the cash, no matter what people tell you online, when it comes to property, without money, you can't buy property. It reminded me of a book I once saw in a bookshop which said how you can start buying properties, plural, for 20 quid. I mean, I don't know how you can do that, but you need money to start investing in property. So discipline from a savings perspective is key. What does that look like then in practice? It is looking at what you're spending on a monthly basis and identifying where you can save to put into your property pot. It's identifying where you can generate income from outside of a salary. Have you got items, cars, whatever it is that you could sell that you're potentially not using? Old clothes, get them online, whatever it may be. It's looking at your holidays. Are you taking 2 fancy holidays a year or 3 as opposed to 1? Could you do a staycation? Because if ultimately, and I know these things are important and you should treat yourself like you want to be treated, but if property is an important goal to you, then these are the steps you need to get there. And the sooner you get into the habit of saving, the easier it becomes. Recently, I've started a stocks and shares account. I've only ever bought property up until now, but I think as part of a diversified portfolio, stocks and shares are important. Although I'm still trying to save property, I'm trying to develop the discipline of sending whatever I can into this stocks and shares account. Sometimes it's 50 quid a week, sometimes it's 200 quid a week, but it's about creating that discipline and strengthening that discipline muscle. Number 2, set clear outcomes. I think for me, one of the most crucial steps that most newbie investors or would-be investors get wrong is that they have no clear outcome. We've all heard the saying or the parable. Is it a parable? I don't think so. You've all heard the story that you cannot hit a target you're not aiming for. Therefore, you need crystal clear outcomes as to what you are trying to achieve. So some examples. Are you trying to create an additional income for yourself so you can quit your job or retire early, like me? Are you trying to purely build your pot of wealth, in which case that's probably a different type of property and strategy to pure income creation? Do you have a set goal or time frame in mind that you are working towards? And why is that important? Because with property, there is no one size fits all. Every different outcome requires a different approach and different strategy. So by having a crystal clear outcome, you'll be able to work back and figure out what type of property to buy, where, at what price point, all of this sort of stuff. And if you don't know what your goals are, don't stress, go away and have a think about it. Write some things down and see if that helps you start to formulate what it is that you're trying to achieve. And if you want a bit of help with that, you don't know where to start, you can grab a copy of our book, the Expat Property Playbook, which breaks this down in heaps of detail for you. There's a link below. Number 3 follows on from step 2, and you could argue is sort of the same point, which is to set clear timeframes. Okay, so great, you've got your outcomes, which is, let's say, create £2,000 a month in passive income. What is the time frame you want to achieve this by? If you don't set clear time frames, then often your time frames will expand. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. I think it's called Parkinson's law, where you work towards your deadlines. Think about when you were at school or at uni and you had a project to do, and you left it and you left it and you left it, and then you smashed it out the night before because you had a deadline looming. So give yourself some clear time frames to work towards. So £2,000 a month in passive income, and I want to do that in 5 years, or by 40 years old, or by 60 years old, whatever it is that suits your situation. So you've got your outcomes, and then over the top of that, you lay your time frames, and then you will start seeing a bit of a plan and a strategy map out. Number 4 is doing the numbers. So looking at the previous steps, we've started developing discipline, we've started saving money in order to be able to actually start buying property. We've got what we'd like to achieve from the property, and then we've got the time we'd like to do it by. With that, you should then be able to work backwards, looking at how much you can realistically save per month from your salary, or from your business, or from your other investments, or from selling stuff, whatever it may be. Factor in not just salary, but bonuses and things like that. And from that, you can then figure out your cadence or your saving ability on a month-to-month and year-to-year basis. And that's important because it'll help us figure out when we should be targeting that first property. And in our book, again, we've got some examples of this. So we're just working off here for ease of numbers, a £200,000 property, therefore £60,000 deposit. How long will it take you to get that based on various saving levels? So monthly savings of £1,000, time to save is 5 years. If you can save £2,500 a month, time to save is 2 years. If you can save £3,750 a month, then your time to save is 1.33 years, and so on. And these figures are not there to make you feel bad about the fact that you're not saving that much or whatever it may be. They're there just to show you and give you a guide. And obviously, if you've got some cash saved already, you can deduct that from this to start figuring out your timeline. Number 5, the final point, which is the roadmap. With all of that, you will, or you should, start seeing a roadmap sort of map out in front of you as to what, where, and how you can buy. So for example, you know what it is the outcome is you're trying to achieve, you know what time frame you'd like to achieve it by, and then you've got overlaid that with your savings and how adequately you can then get to that goal. And you can look at it and say it's realistic. Okay, I wanted to get £2,000 a month in income in the next 2 years, 5 years, whatever it may be, but I can only save this much. Therefore, maybe I need to extend that. And that's important because unrealistic goals will demotivate you. And the thing that will lead to success in property, like most wealth building ventures, are the ones you'll stick to and be consistent with over the long term. In addition to that, maybe you don't want to wait when it comes to buying the first property. Then you know, okay, well, based on what I can save, this is my budget, working off a 30% deposit as an expat. These are therefore the areas that I can afford to buy in. Now, what sort of areas and what types of properties are we looking for? I feel like that's probably a different video because we need a lot more detail on that. But depending on your goals, you will be looking at different areas and different types of property. Top level as an example, and by all means not exhaustive. If you're looking at high yielding properties, then usually 1-bed flats as an example are higher yielding than houses. HMOs, houses of multiple occupation, where multiple people that don't know each other share a house and the facilities, again, higher yielding than a 1-bed flat and definitely than a house. So if you're looking for income, maybe that approach. If you're looking for growth, then you need to be focusing on areas with the highest predicted growth over the next 5 years. At the moment, that's the Northeast and the Northwest, places like Manchester and Liverpool. So the whole point is, once you've got your clear goals and strategy and the budget and the timeline, you'll then be able to start narrowing down and focusing in on areas A, that you can afford, and B, that will meet your goals. For a full breakdown on how to do this, including buying locations, mortgages, setup structures, tax, and growing a portfolio, plus all the goal setting and getting started stuff, drop a comment below or even a thing in the link and grab a copy of our book. We'll send it over to you with some emails on how best to use it.